Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
All right, people. So Billy Joe Saunders is now confirming that he is. Well, he kind of confirmed it last year, but we're starting to hear it more now that he is looking to come back, and he is looking to come back and make, well, what you want to call it, one last run as a fighter to try and get somewhere. And obviously, for me, for him to come back, the logical fight would have been Chris Eubank Jr. I think it's a fight that generates a lot of money for both guys. There's a lot of needle there. They met for a British title, I think it was, back in 2014. It's now 2023, and both guys now, certainly at this stage in their careers, God knows where they're at. But Billy Joe actually was on IFL, and I'm going to quote him here. He says, "If they said, 'Do you want to face anyone?' I'd rather face Liam Smith. Interestingly, first fight back. It's about for me to get in the ring with somebody who's obviously going to bring something to the table where I question myself and think I've got to be on my game. Liam Smith, I got to be on my game. Eubank, looking at that, have I got to be on my game? No, you haven't got to be on your game." Liam Smith actually also said, "You know me, Billy. Talk to me. I'm open to anything." Interestingly, he said, "What weight are we talking?" That was Liam Smith. He actually tweeted that after hearing that. So mentioning what weight we talking. Now, Billy Joe Saunders, we've seen images of him over the last, say, 6 months looking in less than good shape. I mean, it's not uncommon for Billy Joe Saunders to gain weight outside of camp. He's done that pretty much throughout the course of his career. But I don't think I've ever seen him looking as overweight as I seen him looking in kind of the summer months just gone last year. He looked huge. There was also an article, I think it was the end of June, and it was the Sheffield Post or the Sheffield. There was a Sheffield, I was going to call it newspaper, but maybe it's an online newspaper, whatever. It was something. It was a Sheffield one anyway, where they were reporting that Billy Joe Saunders was training with Dominic Ingle. He was back up there in Sheffield training with Dominic Ingle. And when they asked a member of Billy Joe's team, interestingly, they actually said Billy Joe was retired. Now, that's obviously not true. I don't know about the Dominic Ingle, but if he's retired, he would have just announced it. He's obviously not retired. He's obviously talked about coming back to the ring. But that was around about the time we seen the images of Billy Joe emerge, looking absolute, like in the face, whatever. You could see instantly how much weight he gained. So when Liam Smith is talking about what weight we're going to do this at, etc., etc., you just got to look and you think, well, look, Liam Smith is a 154 pounder who's just since moved up to 160. Billy Joe Saunders should have started his career at 154, then transitioned to 160. 168, he was never really a 168 pounder. And I think that he suffered for it. Even in some of his voluntary defences, his feet looked noticeably slower than they were at 160. Now, Billy Joe, could he even get to 160? I doubt it. He's been out of the ring. Lest we forget, he's been out of the ring, as near as makes no difference, 2 years. Right? Probably by the time he comes back and has a fight, whether that be against Smith, whether that be against whoever, I would imagine it's not going to be against Smith because obviously Eubank Jr. has activated the rematch clause. So contractually, Liam Smith has to face Chris Eubank Jr. Would Billy Joe even be a bigger fight for Liam Smith at this stage than Chris Eubank? Because as I said, Billy Joe's been out of the ring for 2 years. He quit against Canelo in his last fight, and he's really been quiet since then. We've heard very little of him. Between interviews, we've heard very little of him. He's only really kind of tweeted now and again, when Eubank lost or Eubank's had his fight and stuff like that. That's really the only time we've heard from him. Other than that, we've heard very, very little from Billy Joe Saunders. So he's probably going to have to wait for that Liam Smith fight. But as Liam Smith said, what weight? If he comes back, lads, he ain't making 160. Those days are gone. He's not made 160 since 2000 and... Actually, Billy Joe Saunders wouldn't have made 160 pounds since he fought David Lemieux in 2017. Bear that in mind. That's over 5 years ago since he's made 160. Because he fought... Who did he fight? He fought a year later because he missed most of 2017 or most of 2018 with messing Martin Murray around. And he fought on the undercard of Frampton Warrington, and I think he was cruiserweight for that fight because he was way out of shape. And then he fought that Sufi guy at super middle, and then he started campaigning at super middle. So Billy Joe Saunders hasn't actually made 160 pounds since he fought David Lemieux. Let that sink in. So for him now to go down to 160, I doubt that's feasible. So if he's talking about Liam Smith, it's obviously going to have to be at 168 or a catch weight. And Liam Smith is the guy with all the momentum at the end of the day. Billy Joe Saunders can't say he's the A side because he hasn't had a fight in 2 years. His last fight was a loss in which he quit. There's no getting away from that. So with Billy Joe, he's not even got a promoter. Like who is Billy Joe? Billy Joe's talking about a comeback. Who is he with? Who's got something with him? Eddie Hearn he didn't rule out working with him again, but I think he said words to the effect of what Billy Joe wants, we're not going to be able, not that we're not going to be able to give it, but obviously I don't think they felt he was worth that. Would Fish Eyes work with him again? I'm sure he would. He worked with him pretty much his whole career. With Ben Shalom, that call, I don't know if Ben Shalom will be as forgiving. Maybe he would be just to get this Liam Smith fight over the line. So it's going to be interesting to see. At the end of the day, like Billy Joe coming back, for me at this stage, Billy Joe was a very talented fighter in his heyday, but so ill-disciplined. Like, he really could have done a lot better than he did. Yeah, he's won a world title in 2 weight classes. That's all well and good, happy out, right? But he only had one big fight his whole career, which was against Canelo. Yeah, he done all right, but Canelo was in control. He was always in control in that fight. And that's it, really. I think that there was opportunities. People want to knock Frank Warren, and I've got no great love for Frank Warren, certainly not. But there was times where there was opportunities. You could see them being in the pipeline for Billy Joe, and he would just be out of shape. Oh, I can't make this. Do you remember he was meant to fight on the Canelo? He could have had the Canelo fight in maybe 2016, 2017. Because he was meant to fight on the Canelo Smith. Canelo Alvarez, when he fought Liam Smith, he was meant to fight on that undercard against, I think it was either Gabe Rosado or Willie Monroe. It was one or the other. And Billy Joe couldn't fight on it. Why could he not fight on it? Can't make weight. Well, there you go. There you go. Fight on the undercard. Familiarise yourself with the American fans. Boom, you're into a Canelo fight. There you go. And that would have been Canelo's kind of journey into 160 pounds. Did he get it? No, of course he didn't. He had to wait, how many more years was it? 3 years? 4 years. And by then, probably peak Billy Joe had since gone. It was still a good performance by Billy Joe in all seriousness, but it wasn't peak Billy Joe. Even peak Billy Joe wouldn't have beaten Canelo in my opinion, but he might have done a bit better than he did, So that's what I read there. That's the article there on Boxing Social. So Billy Joe talking about coming back, doesn't want Chris Eubank Jr., wants Liam Smith. Look, if Liam Smith fights Eubank again and he beats Eubank, that kind of does knock the Eubank Jr. fight in the head, because people would still watch it. I'd still watch it, but it's not the fight it would have been. Certainly not if Liam Smith had lost to Eubank and then they did it. It would have been a much bigger fight. Eubank would have been going in firmly the A side. Whereas if he loses to Smith, this is a real case of, right, two guys at the back end of their careers. Bit like Can Brook. In a different sense, obviously, but a bit like that, where it's just like, okay, they're going to run it back. They're both at the end of their careers. Right, we'll watch it. It's not pay-per-view, though, but we'll watch it. Him against Liam Smith. Liam Smith's the A side, man. He is. There's no ifs, but especially, certainly if he beats Eubank again. He definitely is. And, I think he's well on his right to say, right, look, you can't make 160, but we'll do it at 164.5. I think he's well on his right to say that. Now, Billy Joe, as I said, hasn't fought it'll be 2 years by the time he probably does come back, if he does. And his last fight was a loss. There you go. So let me know your thoughts on Billy Joe Saunders returning in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. If you could, as always, smash the like button. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I always love seeing the sub numbers go up. We're nearly at 10,500. We've not got far to go. To that. And then it's just about getting to 20. So thank you once again for locking in. Thank you as always to the Hill Company for sponsoring this video. Much appreciated. Link to their website, their YouTube channel in the description. Go over there, have a look at some of their merch. The merch is pretty good. I'll attest to that. Their merch is good. Their merch is top class. So your boy is attesting to that. He definitely is. So let me know your thoughts as always in the comments. I'll talk to you people. Peace.